Our faces and bodies are a large part of our identities, and they are often a large part of our insecurities. Regardless if you are a male or a female, we learn at an early age that people can often judge us on our looks. We learn what is considered beautiful by magazines and TV and the internet. Before we continue, please like the video, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you will be notified when I upload the next video. When I was growing up, there was not a lot of people that looked like me on TV. That occasionally made me wonder why. I had been told by my female friends that I was attractive. My male friends often laughed at me, and sometimes they called me pretty. But obviously, the mass public did not view someone who looked like me as attractive, because then there would be more guys who looked like me in leading roles, right? With my occasional concerns about attractiveness, I never felt ugly. I had never been called ugly. I had been called other things by people who didn't understand my background. I was once called a wetback, even though I was born in this country, as was my mother. My father's family came from Costa Rica, so I was a mix. I was lucky to inherit traits from both my parents. I had never heard anyone call them ugly. My sister was often called beautiful, and she was a girl version of me. I had never heard anyone I knew called ugly, until someone called my friend Cheyenne ugly. While yes, there were not a lot of people on TV who looked like my friend Cheyenne, I had always thought she was beautiful. Cheyenne was unique looking, which I suppose could be said for anyone. Cheyenne was of mixed ethnicity, just as I was, so we had that in common. Cheyenne's mom was African American, and her dad was Native American. That was how Cheyenne got her name. I had always thought Cheyenne was one of the most beautiful girls in school. She was tall, her skin was a dark golden brown. Cheyenne's eyes were so dark brown that they looked almost black, and they were widely spaced on her face. She has very high cheekbones that seemed to almost flare out from her face. Her hair was long and curly and jet black. She also had a smile that made everyone around her feel at ease. My friends and I all thought that she was one of the prettiest girls in school. Cheyenne was never conceited though. She was a very kind and genuine person. She was usually very self-confident, until someone called her ugly. That sapped her self-confidence and broke a lot of our hearts when we heard that. It all started on a day when Cheyenne came into school wearing a new shirt. It wasn't fancy or anything. It was a vibrant bright orange red. It made Cheyenne look all the more stunning. Alex complimented her on her outfit the way that girls do. It was true. She did look great. The color practically made Cheyenne look like she was glowing. Her dad had bought it for her birthday, she explained, though she suspected that her mother had helped him out with that. She was also wearing new jewelry, which were birthday presents from her dad's family. The jewelry was unusual and beautiful with lots of turquoise, silver, and coral. The colors were bright and seemed to go perfectly with her new shirt. Cheyenne was extra excited about the jewelry because they came from the Cheyenne people of her father. Apparently, her grandmother had made the necklace. We all admired the craftsmanship and skill, and then we heard someone giggling. Two girls who looked a lot like the people we always saw on TV were whispering and giggling. Both had blonde hair and blue eyes. Brittany was a natural blonde. Anna apparently was not. Every once in a while she had a dark line when her darker roots grew out. Brittany and Anna were whispering and looking over at us all as we admired Cheyenne. I didn't know what they were talking about. I didn't care. It was a momentary distraction. Who cared? Later in the day, as we walked down the hall, I heard Brittany's current boyfriend, Rick, say in a loud voice, "She's not pretty. I think she's ugly." "Thank you," said Brittany in an exasperated tone. "I told you," Anna said. "Chad thinks she's pretty." Chad was not a member of their popular bully group. Chad was actually a nice guy who was on the lacrosse team, and apparently his opinion meant a lot to Anna. I didn't know who the girl was they were talking about. I didn't care. I had learned early on in school that they were not very nice kids, and that I had little to nothing in common with them. They were considered the popular kids. I didn't understand why. Anna and Brittany were considered the prettiest girls in their social group. They seemed to have a fondness of making fun of people, and I did not share that fondness. I thought it was cruel and stupid. My friends were not cruel or stupid. That was why I liked them. As I met Cheyenne and Alex outside their classroom, I noticed that Rick, Brittany, Anna, and Blake were standing around nearby with some of their friends. As we walked along to our next class, their little group followed us along. In that class, we sat by the window and Chad joined us, sitting next to Cheyenne. He complimented her on her appearance that day, just like the rest of us. Cheyenne had a big smile on her face. Alex was also smiling. You know the way girls laugh when they know something the rest of us don't. Anna and Brittany were whispering loudly in the back of the class. I couldn't tell what they were saying, but it sounded very intense. Anna looked angry. As we were leaving class, Blake was standing with Anna and said, "I don't get why you're so upset. She's just an ugly half-breed." He was looking right at Cheyenne. "Come on, Anna. The only reason a guy like Chad would even talk to her is that she's easy. Why else would you talk to an ugly dog?" Cheyenne looked heartbroken. She looked hurt. I wonder if she was going to cry. I knew what Blake had said wasn't right. Chad was a good guy, and I could tell that he genuinely liked Cheyenne. I also knew that Cheyenne was a self-confident girl, but I knew that being called ugly was hurtful, no matter how attractive you were. I couldn't take it anymore. "Seriously, Blake, what is your problem?" I asked, facing he and Anna. "I've got no problem," Blake said. I knew that he was racist. He didn't like anyone with brown skin, and lumped them all into one category. I honestly didn't care what Blake said about me, but when he was that cruel to my friend, my female friend who Anna hated for some reason. "What is it, Blake? Is Anna jealous because she likes Chad and has to use you to fight her battles for her?" "That's nice, one half-breed standing up for another." Blake laughed. Anna laughed too. "Maybe you should go out with Anna, since you like her so much," I said, annoyed. "And stop bullying Cheyenne, who did nothing to you. She doesn't even care about you guys." "There's nothing that dog could do to me," Anna said, smiling in a cruel way, looking at Chad. I was just about to say something when, "Maybe I have better taste than you do, Blake. Maybe I would rather date someone who's beautiful, unique, and a decent person, instead of a bleached stick figure who can't even speak up for herself. So she uses other people to do the bullying for her," Chad interrupted. "And for the record, Anna, if you think that insulting Cheyenne would make you attractive to me, or anyone else, you are seriously mistaken. That makes you really ugly." Cheyenne gave me a big hug. Then, smiling, she said, "You are beautiful." When homecoming rolled around, I put Cheyenne's name up for homecoming queen. Cheyenne thought it was silly. Cheyenne and Chad went to the dance together. She looked beautiful in her dress that was the same color as her red shirt. She wore her grandmother's jewelry. When the nominations were called for homecoming queen, I was happy to see that Cheyenne had the most votes. Apparently, a lot of other people agreed with me. It made me glad to see my friend happily dancing with her boyfriend and wearing her new plastic tiara and holding her homecoming bouquet. She looked truly beautiful. As time has changed, I have seen more people who look like Cheyenne and me and our other friends of different ethnicity on TV and other media. That makes me feel good. It shouldn't really matter, I suppose, but it does. It does because it tells when we see people who look like us on TV, it is validating. It says that people who look like us are worth looking at. It tells us that someone thinks that we are beautiful. It may be silly, but it's true. As time went on, in school, my friends and I endured and dealt with Blake, Anna, and their small group. Each time we did this, it taught us something new. And perhaps it showed them something as well. Maybe it taught them something about how to see people differently. And maybe not. I don't know. What I do know is that there are many types of beauty. There is outer beauty, and then there is what we have inside. That is the real beauty, the one that lasts after our youth turns into adulthood. Real beauty is kindness and empathy and intelligence. Those qualities are the exact opposite of ugly.
I spent some time on a volunteer project in Costa Rica with some other people. It was a great conservation project, and I was proud to be a part of it. I was able to spend time in the beautiful country that my dad's family came from, and because I was able to contribute to an important conservation project that I believe could make the world better in the long run. And yes, I was able to be around endangered animals, which for me was never a bad thing. I had my master's degree and was excited to put my knowledge and education to work for a great cause. And I had just broken up with a girl I'd been dating and needed to get away. We weren't right for each other, and I knew that. I just wanted to be away from her and her drama. And the project was right near the beach, and there was great surfing, so what could be better? I had a great time. I was single and enjoying it. My ex-girlfriend had messaged me a few times. It bugged me that she was doing this. She had issues with drama. One of the employees, Adam, had a friend coming to volunteer for a few weeks. I had made friends with this guy. He seemed cool. I'm pretty laid back, and I get along with most people, so even though there was some drama with the younger volunteers, girls, newly out of high school, I didn't get involved with the pettiness. I never liked it before, so I ignored it then. I kept my head down and did my work, trying to make a good impression with the hope that I might get a job out of this. I was given a lot of work, and different work from the usual volunteers. I got to get out and do a lot of hiking and other stuff. And that was fine because the other volunteers didn't want to do a lot of physical work. It all went well. And then Adam's friend arrived. I couldn't believe it. Bonnie was beautiful in that natural way that requires no makeup. She had the softest, loveliest smile and way about her. I couldn't stop thinking about her. Lucky Adam, I thought. I could tell that Emma, one of the younger girls, didn't like her. The other girls were not all that welcoming either. I figured it was because young girls get jealous. And this Emma flirted with everyone, especially Adam. Perhaps Emma was jealous because she wasn't the prettiest girl there anymore. Adam's friend either didn't notice or was ignoring the rude behavior, and I liked her for that. We all went out of town to have a fun night and party. We were all dancing. Adam got a little tipsy, and that was all right because we took a taxi into town. There isn't a drinking age in Costa Rica, so everyone got served, including Emma. And as we were dancing, I noticed that Emma was overtly flirting with Adam. Bon just seemed to be having a good time and ignored Emma's provocative behavior. I liked Bonnie even more because of that. She was a grown-up. She just kept dancing. I really liked watching her dancing. She just moved with joy and genuine energy. And yes, I couldn't take my eyes off her. And then, some guy asked if she and I were together. When I told Bon, she rolled her eyes and kept dancing, and that made me laugh, and I liked her even more. Emma and Adam were hooking up on the dance floor. I thought it was inappropriate, but felt really happy. After all, if Adam and Bonnie were together, he would not be hooking up with Emma, let alone right in front of her. The next day, I noticed that there was some tension between Bonnie and Adam. I also noticed that Emma was extra bitchy to Bonnie. Bonnie was very quiet, and she made a point of requesting jobs that other girls didn't typically like to do, like to forage for fruit for the animals and nuts for some of the birds. And she was also working as a writer while she was there. I thought that was a cool job because she could do it anywhere. That meant that she could stay there longer, and that would be cool because then I could get to know her better. Especially since she and Adam were obviously not together. I had the perfect opportunity one day while I was doing data entry. Bonnie approached with her laptop, asking if it was all right if she could work at the table where I was sitting. Of course, I said. She sat down and started to work. She didn't look happy like she usually did. She looked lonely. I couldn't blame her. No one was talking to her. So I started to talk to her. At first, Bonnie seemed a bit reserved. But in a matter of minutes, we were laughing together, and I loved her smile. I couldn't look at her without smiling. We became best friends, and I started to request that she help me with tracking and observations so that she could report to me. We sat next to each other at dinner, and I could tell that she was not as close to Adam as we had initially thought. Cool. I really liked this woman, and she liked me. I wanted to ask Bonnie to do something, just the two of us. I wanted to tell her how I felt. But when? Finally, the opportunity presented itself. We all went out together as a group to a pub in the local village. I was flirting with Bonnie, and she was smiling at me, laughing. I loved the way she looked at me like she thought I was special. She and Adam seemed to be friends again. I had made some joke, and Bonnie just looked at me laughing. And then there was this moment where we just looked at each other smiling. Adam suggested that he and I get a drink at the pub across the way. I agreed. I started chatting with Adam and told him about how I liked Bonnie and was really interested in her. Adam nodded his head very seriously, and then he said, "Bonnie is lovely, and she is a lot of fun, but I think that she's using you to make me jealous." "Oh, really?" I asked. "I don't know. I feel like she really likes me. I've never felt this way before." It was true. I had never fallen for someone so fast. "Yeah, she is very good at making people feel that way," Adam said. "She and I were close. She made me feel like that. She was upset because I hooked up with Emma." I felt crushed. I felt mad. I was mad at Bonnie and at myself. While I was working on my undergrad, there was a girl who used me to make her boyfriend jealous. Why did this keep happening to me? The next day, I could barely look at Bonnie. And when I was alone with her and she asked a question, I suggested that she ask Adam. Bonnie looked confused, but then went off to ask Adam. When she saw a drawing that I was working on, she complimented me on it, and I started to talk to her about it, and then I remembered this wasn't real. "You should talk about art to Adam," I said. Petty and stupid as it was, I was hurt and angry that she could make me feel this way, and to make me believe that she really liked me. I started to ignore her. She looked confused and genuinely hurt. But Adam knew her, and he had basically said that she was acting. I felt so angry that I couldn't even look at her. I stopped going out of my way to talk to her. I basically ignored her for a couple of days, and Bonnie stopped trying to talk to me. I started messaging my ex-girlfriend, and she wanted to come and stay with me on the project. So I said, sure, even though I didn't think this was her kind of thing. She was not an outdoorsy person. I did talk to Bonnie again, of course. She needed help with something, and without thinking, I offered. Bonnie was tense. I could see it. I figured that was because she knew that I was onto her. As we were walking back from our errand, Bonnie said something funny, and I couldn't help it. I laughed. "Aha! There you are," she said, smiling. I smiled back at her. It was our look, our smile. "I thought you were mad at me," Bonnie said. "I thought I had offended you somehow." "There is nothing that you could do that would offend me," I said without thinking, and Bonnie smiled and went back to work. She must be the best actress in the world because I feel this way, and I feel like she likes me too. You know what I'm talking about. You just know. But Adam had said that she was just manipulating me. Adam had invited her to lunch and had been spending time with her the last couple of days. So now that they were together, why was she still talking to me? It was getting close to the time that she was supposed to go home. I was helping her with a ladder when she said, "I'm going to miss it here, and I'm really going to miss you. I really think you are awesome." I laughed and said, "Of course I am," and then walked away. I admit it. I felt like I was going to cry or tell her how I felt about her or whatever. I didn't want her to see me upset. I didn't want her to see me like that. I didn't want to give her the satisfaction. As she was packing up and getting her stuff together the day before she was supposed to go home, Bonnie told me that she really wanted to keep in touch. I couldn't take it anymore. I had blown her off. I was on to her. And she wanted to be friends with me? I couldn't take it anymore. "Sure, as long as it's all right with Adam," I said. "Adam? Why would it bother him?" she asked. "Look, I know you were just using me to make him jealous," I said. I couldn't help it. I don't like game players." "What are you talking about?" Bonnie asked. "Adam told me that," I said. "Why would I make him jealous?" Bonnie asked. "He and I don't see each other like that." "Then why were you mad at him for hooking up with Emma?" "Because I had been telling him about this creepy guy at the other project who hooks up with underage girls," Bonnie said. "Because I reported the creep to the moderator thinking I was behaving ethically, and Adam wanted me to. After I did that, Adam goes and hooks up with an underage girl. That's why I was mad at him. I felt used. I felt like a jerk. I thought that you were only talking to me because of him, I said. I'm sorry that you think that I'm that kind of person, Bonnie said. And I wonder how you view yourself, thinking that the only reason I had to talk to you would be to make someone else jealous. And with that, she hugged me and told me that she really wanted to keep in touch. And then she was gone. My ex-girlfriend came to the project and stayed for a while. I felt stupid for not thinking that my instincts about Bonnie were right. I felt mad at myself. I had learned a hard lesson. For whatever the reason, Adam had made me question my own judgment. Maybe I didn't believe in myself enough. Maybe I was afraid because Bonnie was so perfect. And I couldn't believe that I had met someone like her and that she could feel for me that way. Who knows? My friendship with Adam dwindled to professionalism. My ex-girlfriend turned girlfriend became my ex-girlfriend again after a few months. I messaged Bonnie from time to time, but made a point of not doing so often. I thought of her always, though. I dreamed of her at night, and whenever I saw beautiful flowers or clouds or the ocean, I thought of Bonnie. I also thought of the lesson that I learned. I learned that girls are not the only people who can be manipulative in the mating game. I learned that I should get both sides of a story before I judge someone. I learned a lot, and I felt heartbroken. I can say that it didn't end badly. I ended up getting the job, and after about a year, I saw Bonnie again. I was terrified that she wouldn't be happy to see me. I was afraid that she would not look at me the way she used to. I had nothing to worry about. We jumped back into our pre-drama mode. We laughed and joked and had real conversations and spent tons of time together. At that time, I did everything that I should have done before.
Growing up, we all go through many rites of passage. The first day of school, learning to ride a bike, first girlfriend or boyfriend, getting your driver's license, first dance, and of course, there's the prom. Some people go to many different proms, some only go to one, but the first prom is definitely one of those rites of passage. It is your first experience of dressing up, looking like a grown-up. We young men, believe it or not, feel like James Bond or some other cool movie guy in our tux. And of course, the young ladies love the excuse to look lovely in their fancy dresses. When that time came around, the time to buy tickets to prom, I was at first not going to go. I had recently broke up with my first girlfriend. She already had a prom date at her school, and we were not on friendly terms. I considered going stag, as a few of my guy friends were going to do. But to be honest, I wasn't really interested in getting dressed up, spending the money on the ticket, rental tux, and everything else that it would entail. My friend Alex was going with her boyfriend. My friend Tay was taking his friend from another school. I hadn't made up my mind. In truth, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I mean, on the one hand, it sounded like a fun rite of passage. On the other, again, I really wasn't that interested in dressing up and going through all the work and spending the money. Then my friend Cheyenne asked me if I would go with her, as a friend. Well, sure, of course. Cheyenne and I had been friends since we were little kids. Cheyenne had just broken up with her boyfriend, Andre, who already had a new girlfriend, who he was taking to the prom. If I were going to go to the prom with a friend, I would go with a girl like Cheyenne, or Alex. Neither girl was a frou-frou girl. I was sure we would have a fun, easy, laid-back time. I rented my tux. Cheyenne had recommended one with a yellow cummerbund. I had no idea what a cummerbund was, but I agreed to ask for one at the formal wear shop. They had one, and I chose a matching bow tie. I thought it was pretty spiffy, though I had no clue why it had to be yellow. I also ordered a corsage for my friend. I chose orchids that Cheyenne could wear on her wrist, and a yellow bow that would match my cummerbund and tie. When the day came, I borrowed my Uncle Toby's vintage convertible. I gave myself extra time to get ready. I got a haircut and let the hairdresser put product in my hair. After donning the tux, I had to say I was looking good. And yes, I felt a bit like James Bond or some other gent who belonged in a movie. Yep, I was one handsome devil, if I do say so myself. The car was gassed up and ready to go. I was right on time. I checked to make sure that I had my ticket and the corsage. After I rang the bell at Cheyenne's house, I was greeted by her dad. "Come on in, Jason." Cheyenne's father invited me in. "Looking good, pal. Thanks for taking Cheyenne. Believe it or not, she has been looking forward to this all year." Really? I had no idea. Cheyenne was not that sort of girl. She wasn't fussy and prommy. Speaking of Cheyenne, where was she? "You want a soda or something?" Cheyenne's dad asked. "Sure, thanks," I said. "Cheyenne is still upstairs getting ready." "Oh, all right," I said. Getting ready? I mean, she just had to put on a dress and maybe slap on some makeup, which I didn't think would take long, since she didn't wear much makeup anyway. While waiting, we talked about school, soccer, what my parents were up to. My dad was working on a new grant. My mom was working on a story for the paper. We talked about the horses. We talked about what Cheyenne's dad had been doing as well. He had been working on a book documenting how indigenous Americans had been discriminated against over the years. It sounded tragic and interesting, and a book that would be very necessary and relevant. I also wondered where Cheyenne was. Her father looked at his watch, and then excused himself and went upstairs. I sat and drank my soda. I looked at my watch. It had been nearly an hour. What on earth were Cheyenne and her mother and sisters doing up there? Finally, her dad came downstairs. "Sorry about this," he said. "You know girls and formal stuff." "Uh-huh," I said, smiling. Actually, I didn't know girls and formal stuff. I knew some girls and formal stuff, but I didn't know Cheyenne was one of those girls. "Okay," Cheyenne called as she came down the stairs. "Sorry about that. Mom was doing my hair." Cheyenne was wearing a yellow dress, and she looked lovely. That explained the yellow cummerbund. Her hair was in an elaborate bun thing on the top of her head. I had never seen anything like it. She looked like a movie star. Not like herself. She also had a lot of makeup on. She definitely looked different from her usual self. I handed her the corsage, and her mother whipped out her phone and began to take tons of photos of me taking the corsage out of the box, putting it on her wrist, of us standing next to each other, then of us walking to my uncle's car, then of me holding the door open, and of Cheyenne getting into the car, then of me walking over to the driver's side of the car, and I suppose of me getting into the car and driving off. "Stop the car," Cheyenne squealed. We hadn't gone very far. "Okay." That was odd. "Are you all right?" Had she forgotten something? Oh no, her mother was going to take more photos. "No, I'm fine," she said. "You need to put the top up. It's ruining my hair." Fine. I did. Then we went to prom. Cheyenne seemed to be another person. She was all fussy and fancy, not at all like her usual laid-back self, and I didn't feel like a James Bond wearing a tuxedo. I felt like an annoyed friend. At the prom, we posed for more photos. Cheyenne and I danced and had fun. We hung out with Alex, Tay, and Manu, and their dates, and with my friends who went stag. Everyone complimented Cheyenne on her dress and how great she looked. She even was voted prom queen. That was nice, but it was something that I had never expected her to aspire to. Whatever, we had a good time. On the ride home, Cheyenne said, "Thanks so much for taking me to prom, Jason. I am sorry if I was a pain." "You're welcome," I said. "You weren't a pain. Well, except for taking forever to get ready, and then the hair in the car issue." "No," Cheyenne said. "I was. I made you wait forever." "Well, I would say that you weren't yourself," I said. "I had planned to go with Andre," Cheyenne said, "and then he dumped me. We were supposed to go to prom together. I felt so crushed, and I wanted to shiny. I guess I went overboard, but I really needed to feel happy." "I understand," I said. "And you got that nice crown. I bet Andre is sorry that he broke up with the prom queen." "I know it's not me," Cheyenne said. "Not normally, anyway. I just need to be not my normal self." "That's fine," I said. "You weren't your normal self. You were a queen." Cheyenne and I stopped at Sal's and had slices of pizza. It was fun. We drove home with the top down, and she wasn't worried about ruining her hair any longer. Normal Cheyenne was back. Later in life, I understood what Cheyenne meant about not wanting to be her usual self. I had moments like that myself. When I was dumped by a girlfriend, when I was turned down for a grant, when I wasn't accepted to participate in a project that I wanted. Sometimes, you need to get out of your shoes and be in someone else's. And when we do that, It makes us appreciate ourselves, our real selves, as we are all the better. Hey, thank you for watching. Please click on the right to subscribe if you like the video. And please don't forget to click on the bell icon when you subscribe so that you can be notified when we upload a new video. Watch more videos on the left, including our playlist. Thank you.